What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to the After Action Report. I just finished up a great game with Scott. There we go. Who brought his Midnight Suns to the table, and I want to get the bugbear in the room out of the way. Right, those defensive rolls that both of us were rolling for like the first 2-3 rounds.
Oh,
what was going on with that, man?
It was like, I want to throw an attack. I know you're not going to be able to defend it, so it's just going to be good. And it was kind of both ways. That was the nice part. Is like it wasn't somebody's dice betrayal.
The curve, I would say we actually had a pretty even curve as to what was going on. I think I was just able to eke a couple more efficiencies out of my curve.
Yeah.
Is what it really came down to. Because even Dynamo getting like dice rerolls didn't save him a lot of damage this game, did it?
I think your rerolls didn't really save you too much of the damage.
Not a lot.
Especially, as somebody who plays Midnight Suns, I see a lot of Web Warriors coming out, and it seems like Web Warriors rerolls can save them whenever they need to. And this game, it really wasn't a big factor.
We both showed up. We both decided we just want to punch. We don't want to do anything else. And because like the fact that we both had to use our patch up in turn 2 or in round 2, right?
Oh, and the fact that we talk about your rerolls not showing up, but how many times did Strange roll from 1 or 0 into 4 or 5? Like
you had a couple good Agamotto rolls for sure. There was a couple that were also unfortunate, like the one where you went from like 1 successful block into 0 blocks when Bucky had just like thrown 4 damage at Strange.
And it happens,
It does. And I mean, Bucky was rude. Bucky was totally rude.
I really like his new 4th threat card.
We'll talk about him in just a second. I actually want to get your opinion first on the changes to your Midnight Suns.
I think so. Blade.
Yep.
Everybody buy Blade.
that might be a little bit more of an endorsement than he really deserves. But
I'm a Blade fan. He feels where he should have been.
And you've been repping Midnight Sun since you started playing the game.
Yeah, it's been 2 years now.
Yeah, very early on. I remember Blade was one of the first guys you bought, and you've been taking him to tournaments. You've been taking your lumps, and you've been learning this faction inside and out.
And he's where he wants to be right now. The voodoo change was a little bit of a hit to the chin when I first read it. Seeing how he shapes up into Midnight Suns now, I think it's actually a really good change.
I want to point out that you got your throw off on quite a few of those strikes. The only problem is that like you went into size 3 characters a couple times,
and I think that's kind of the nice part about that throw is that it is now not like you're not having to spend power to do it.
No, in fact, you're usually gaining power, right?
Off of it.
It's nice. I like it. I think it was a lateral move at worst and maybe a slight buff at best.
I think the decision with that was we are taking so much away from his utility side of things. We kind of need to give him a little bit in the offensive.
Now, I'm on record on quite a few places at the moment where I do think that they stepped a little bit too far with Voodoo. Removing his free pass back probably needed to be happening. I don't think they needed to increase the cost of recall at the same time, if at all.
I think it should have been one or the other. I think if they increase the cost, which I don't think is too horrible. I think they should have left the free move back in the power phase.
That's kind of where I'm standing as well.
I think that would leave him at a very good level where he still feels good. He still has some utility, but he's not constantly kind of chewing up his own power.
Now, I do think the other change that I think they went a little bit too far on, and people probably will disagree with me on this one, I don't think they needed to hit his ability to turn off secures with Brother Daniel as well. But we'll see how that one shakes out in the grand scheme of things.
So personally, I kind of wish they had done the opposite side of things and said,
you wanted to scare them off of secures and not scare them to drop the objectives?
Yes. Because when I look at it from a Midnight Suns perspective, we already have Black Cat, who is a great piece to take asset objectives.
She's a Stager bot now.
She is. She can still take asset objectives, but it's a lot worse now to do that. Whereas Voodoo could have been the other side of that and
Yeah.
saying, okay, I'm going to
But
control the
you also have
board.
to consider Voodoo and the other affiliations as well, right? Like
And
he's not
that's,
just a Midnight Sun; he is also Convocation. He's also Avengers. So he does fall into a couple other places as well.
and I think where his problem, like the most problematic he tended to be in affiliation, I would say was probably in convocation.
Probably Avengers actually.
Really?
Well, because Avengers,
Oh
you would get the
yeah,
discount on using it. Either way, like Voodoo needs to be toned down one way or the other,
he
and
did.
we'll see how it kind of shakes out in the grand scheme of things. And then yeah, the lastable change was good old Wongers there, and that extra point of physical defense made a big difference.
If Wong
Yeah,
Wong feels like a proper two threat and not like a half two threat.
it's funny. Wong wasn't on my radar to be changed, but I'm not unhappy about the change.
It was one of those things, like the Stephen Strange change should have kind of always been a thing to me.
Well, at the time, remember there was only the one Strange that existed, and I don't know if Strange Supreme was even on the radar at the time of Wong's design, right?
And that's the hard part of. And then you release this character, and then do you come in and revamp the old one
they did exactly what they needed to do. They basically just cleaned it up. They used the alter ego as opposed to the
they used his
the Stephen Strange as opposed to Doctor Strange, which excellent, yeah. So overall, like I think solid changes to Midnight Suns. I will say this: I was expecting an Immortal Hulk to be thrown on the table against me.
It's funny because I was hard considering Mortal Hulk. There were some.
You would have had to make some changes to your list, so I think you probably would have had to ditch Wong and Strange to do so.
Yeah, it would have been these two come in for Mortal Hulk.
You would have retained priority a lot more. I didn't have a whole lot to deal with Immortal Hulk. That could have been interesting as well. So,
and I think that Ghost Spider doesn't come in. I think somebody else.
You go for someone else. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Like going for like a Moon Knight or someone like that.
And I think
or Danny.
So the funny part is that Danny is the only Midnight Sun I am missing at the moment.
Oh, you got to fix that, man.
I do.
Danny's great. I love Danny.
He is a very good card. It's taken me a while to kind of warm up to him. I blame the Netflix series. That I'm sorry.
Poor Finn Jones.
No, he did it to himself. Show up to your martial arts training.
So the last one I really want to talk about here is new Bucky, Winter Soldier Operative. It's the first time I've actually gotten him on the table, and he did something every single time he activated, and that wasn't even with wild dice either.
No, he works.
Like I think I took away about 5 power through suppressive over the course of the game. The concussive grenade, putting out like a bunch of shocks early on, was big as well because you had just gotten rid of that shock on Strange, and I just put it back on. And,
right back onto him.
The red agent picking up Wong at the very end there. Killbox almost picking up Blade, almost getting Blade.
Yeah.
Just in general, like Bucky got stuff done. This is a great Winter Soldier. I wasn't sure how to feel about him, but I am all for him at the moment.
It's funny so this is kind of the first time I've seen him really in action, folks, and after seeing what he can do, I think he really makes a strong argument to replace old Bucky.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of arguments at this point. Like old Bucky lost a lot of power economy with the changes to his assault rifle and everything like that. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
old Bucky is not in this one, so that's Winter Soldier. All in all, like I'm impressed with the character changes. Blade felt like he was impactful. He was in the game.
Blade felt like he was part of the game and not just a leadership.
Yeah, and I think you got his pursuit off on every glaive. Yeah, that's excellent right there.
Oh, it felt good. It feels good, and that's why I recommend buying Blade.
And you were able to actually get his katana attacks in as a result. He didn't feel like he was always kind of like on the periphery of everything. You were able to engage when you wanted to engage, which was a huge deal, right? Mm-hmm. That's excellent. So all in all, that is Midnight Suns first the Winter Guard. Scott, thanks for coming out, man. Hopefully we can get you on again.
I'd love to do it.
Yeah, you were great. You were always talkative and vocal, so fantastic. And for everyone watching, sound off in the comments below. Let us know what you liked, didn't like, all that sort of great stuff. If you want to support the channel, patreon.com. And of course, we will see you next time. Happy wargaming.